Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Murder by the Book by Gina Lamanna. Narrated by Brenda Wlazlo. Chapter 1. He slid his hand down her back, ravaging her as they tumbled onto the bed. The last button on her blouse popped open in his impatience to reveal milky soft skin and a body so voluptuous. I stopped reading aloud and looked out over the podium. "Please don't make me do this, Mom." "Chop, chop!" Missy, my youngest sister, clapped her hands so sharply my dad jerked awake next to her. "I took off work for this, and I have a date tonight. Let's move things along." "Quiet, Missy," my mom hissed. "We are proud of your sister no matter what." I rolled my eyes to the high heavens and stared at the ceiling of Bertha's Books, a small independent bookstore plunked in the middle of St. Paul in a little area called Highland Village. Highland Village is a mix of young college hipsters and old folks who haven't gotten the memo that the youngins are taking over the town. Bertha, of Bertha's Books, is one of the latter types. Somehow, my mother got talking to Bertha because in Highland Village there are no secrets, and one thing led to another. Before I knew it, I was at my first book reading and signing. And to say the turnout was abysmal would be an understatement. My name is Lucy Little, and I am one of 5 littles shoved into a very big, empty bookstore. The thing is, I'm an author, or rather an aspiring author. I wouldn't exactly say my middle name is Success. If we're playing that game, I'm going to say my middle name is Wine. I have 2 younger sisters. One of them is named Missy, and she runs a wildly successful beauty salon called Die, Die, Die! That fits morbidly well with her personality. Her hair is a shade of pink that makes my flushed cheeks look weak, and her nails are a metallic silver that's quite blinding when the light hits them. She has her own sort of style, and tonight that style includes a halter top and shorts that show off half her butt. If Missy had a middle name, it wouldn't be Modest, or Patient, or Kind. It might be Unique, if we're feeling generous. My other sister's name is Louise. She's got a husband, a kid, a house, and most of my mother's love. We all agree Louise is the favorite, even my mother. My dad, Wyatt, is a retired cop. He and I have an arrangement that we don't speak unless it involves passing a condiment at the dinner table. I am fairly certain he'd shoot me if I stepped between him and his Weber, and I am fine with that arrangement, because he makes a mean grilled pineapple. The fact that he's sitting in front of me at my steamy romance reading is a testament not to his support, but to my mother's ability to wield his old department-issued handcuffs. There were threats made that I'm not proud to repeat, that were necessary to get my dad's butt in the chair, and I feel really bad about it. The least I can do is not make eye contact with him. Then there's my mother, Pam. Pamela Little could kick my ass. It doesn't matter what the competition is. If it's me and her, I'm going down. Arm wrestling, speed walking, cookie baking, trapeze flying. There ain't nobody in the state of Minnesota who can keep up with my mother. And that's a fact written somewhere in St. Paul law. Yay, Lucy! Louise, the golden child, held up her toddler son's hands in the shape of goalposts. "You've got this, Auntie Lucy!" Is he old enough to be here? I glanced over my shoulder at Bertha. Can't you kick him out or something? Bertha's mustache twitched, and she swished her apron to the side. Never too early for a man to learn how to please a woman. Holy guacamole. I put a hand to my forehead. I can't do this. Just go already, or I'll come up there and read it for you, my mother threatened. We all came to listen. We're not going to make fun of you. The only thing worse than reading my unpublished romance novel aloud in front of my family was having my mother read erotic phrases to a room full of her children and grandchild. I cleared my throat, swallowed, and began to sweat profusely. The two lovers tangled under the sheets, slippery with... I hesitated, feeling the edges of a panic attack creep into my chest. My fingers gripped the podium. I can barely breathe. You're telling me, Bertha fanned herself. It's getting very hot in here. No, I gasped. I legitimately can't breathe. Don't feel self-conscious. It's not just family here, my mother said. You can't give up because Bones is listening and you don't want to disappoint the audience. I glanced at the homeless man who'd wandered in from the street corner. Bones was well known around these parts and kept quite comfortable by letting himself into local businesses on nights too rainy or cold to spend lounging on his hammock. Bones wasn't poor. He just chose to live outside. He was currently in a race with my dad to see who could snore the loudest in the back row. I can't. The edges of my brain went fuzzy. Breathe. I felt my knees buckle. My palm slipped from the podium. The floor rose to meet me as I sort of piled into a heap like a Jacob's Ladder toy. Just a mess of pieces all jumbled up on one another. That had never been a very fun game. It only got worse when I opened my eyes after the blackness passed to find a face staring into mine that I hadn't seen since I'd turned 18. And the last time I'd seen him, we'd been hot and heavy in the back seat of my dad's patrol car. Long story. Henry? I mumbled, and then fainted all over again. Chapter 2. Lucy was just getting to the sex scene, and then... My mother hesitated, shrugged her shoulders. She went down. Henry Bates raised his eyebrows. Must have been one hell of a sex scene. I winced. Mom, don't talk to my ex-boyfriends about my sex scenes. My mother's eyebrows shot up. Don't tell me you and Henry know anything about titillation. You were only 18 when you broke up. You told me there was no hanky-panky happening. I know what I said, but cripes, this is not the time to have this conversation. I don't appreciate you lying to me, Lucy. Mother, I'm 29 years old, sprawled on the floor of a bookstore. I pushed myself into a seated position, feeling wildly embarrassed and mildly shaky. We're not having this conversation, now or ever. Henry knelt down before me. I closed my eyes, mostly because I didn't have enough breath in my lungs to maintain consciousness. Henry tended to take my breath away, and it was all his fault. Those milk chocolate eyes and skin the color of melted caramel. His hair was a deep shade of Nutella, and wow, I was hungry. I opened my eyes, and the first true wave of nostalgia hit me. Yes, Henry had all those delicious, chocolatey qualities, but more than that, he was all over gorgeous. Not in the romance hero sort of way, but in the down-home cop sort of way. Which was fitting, seeing as he was a cop from, well, down home. His eyes were the same sort of complex brown that I remembered, but they were harder and glinted instead of twinkled. He'd seen a few things. There was a scar I didn't remember just above his lip, barely noticeable unless we were nose to nose. His dark hair was mussed and tossed off to one side, as if he'd run his hand through it moments before. But it was his smile that churned my stomach like a cement truck. For just that moment, we were back in high school making out. The football king and the awkward nerd. I was the nerd, in case that wasn't obvious. I felt the same pull toward him now as I did back then, quite literally. I felt myself leaning in, contemplating the kiss, closing my eyes. "Are you feeling okay?" Henry shined a bright light into my face and spooked me back to attention. "I thought you were recovering just fine. Then you got all woozy, looking like you might fall forward. How are you feeling, little?" "I'm fine," I muttered, brushing my hands off on my skirt. "Can we just get me out of here? This is embarrassing." Henry reached for me, his hand making contact with mine. I wanted to say I felt a zing of electricity, but that wasn't the case. It was more like a zap of lightning that fried my panties. "Yo, Lucy!" Missy sidled over to me and stuck her halfway exposed bottom right between Henry and myself. "I'm going to need $20. "What?" I reluctantly let Henry's hand go. "Why?" "Because this book signing was a complete waste of time, and Mom made me buy your book," she said. "You didn't even get to the juicy parts before you fainted, and that doesn't include gas mileage. I'll send you an expense bill later." "You can't be serious," I said to my youngest sister. "That was voluntary on your part." "That's not true," Missy said. "Mom told me this was a paid gig, and I just figured you'd be paying me, so—" She tapped a pair of sneakers that had rollerblade wheels on the back. "You know what?" Henry said. "I think Lucy needs some pizza. She's probably just low on blood sugar." "Maybe she's always low on blood sugar," Missy said. "That would explain a lot." Henry reached into his pocket. "I'll tell you what, miss. I'll give you $20 if I can get your copy of Lucy's book." "No!" I shrieked. "Don't do it, Henry! No, you can't! It's illegal!" "I assure you, it's quite legal." Henry's eyes glinted in that playful way that brought back more memories. "I love to support local artists." "Missy, if you do this, I will kill you." I clasped my hands over my face. "Don't you cherish that book? It's one of the first 5 copies ever printed." "Are you kidding?" Missy pulled the paperback out of a handbag that had more sparkles on it than there were stars in the sky. "I'd trade my sister for $20. Here you go." Henry gave Missy a firm handshake and made a jolly good attempt at not turning red at the image of oiled-up abs on the cover. "Interesting." "Yeah, that's just a temporary cover," I said. "I'm gonna change it." "I'm glad I got the original. Maybe I can get an autograph over pizza?" "It was nice doing business with you, officer," Missy said. "I've got a date, so I'm gonna boogie. Mom, you drove me, so you're boogieing too." Pamela fluttered over to me. "Are you sure you're okay, dear?" "Just go," I said. "Spare me the embarrassment." "Okay, honey. I'll see you at home." And just like that, my awful night got worse. I felt Henry's eyes on me as my family prepared themselves to take off. Louise held her son Miles' hand while my mother gently smacked my dad on the back of his head. He snorted awake, a sort of chortling snort. It wasn't a pleasant sound. Missy had already rolled out the front doors on her weird wheelie shoes. "My family is odd," I said apologetically to Henry. "I'm sorry you had to see that." "Family," Henry said emphatically, as if that explained everything. So, you live— I don't live at home, I said. Well, mostly. I mean, I eat and shower at home, but I have my own little place out back. Henry stifled a laugh. Ah. Don't worry, I won't be inviting you over. Oh, good. I was worried I'd have to climb through the window like last time you invited me over. I felt my cheeks go apple red. Henry was gracious enough to stick a hand out to help me to my feet. We let the situation dissipate into an awkward little cloud that hung over our heads. So, he said, his hand resting gently behind my elbow, what brings the famed Lucy Little back to town? My eyes couldn't have rolled harder. Funny. You up and move across the country for college. The next thing I knew, your face was staring at me from the front of a magazine. It was nothing, I said. Really, it wasn't my fault it was there. Bertha, can I get the usual? Henry called. What do you want, Luce? A time loop, or memory eraser, or that book back. Excellent, Henry said. We'll just split that pizza, Bertha. Bertha nodded and turned to the stove. Bertha's books had the best wood-fire pizzas in the city. They were thick and gooey and greasy and all over delicious, and they had bookish sort of names like Dead on Arrival or Murder on the Pepperoni Express. They didn't all make sense. Actually, most of them didn't make any sense at all, but that was part of Bertha's charm. You're not getting your book back. Henry withdrew it from his bag. I've been waiting over 10 years for this autograph. I reached across the counter and grabbed a pen from Bertha's stash. Then I put my elbow around the first page, protecting it like I might my plate of food on Thanksgiving when I'd nabbed the last piece of pie, and I drew a huge X over the whole thing. Below that, I wrote, Do not cross, for woman's eyes only. Then I did some X's and O's and signed Lucy Little underneath. Understood. Henry slid the book back across the bar, but he was biting his bottom lip as if something was funny. Do it, I said. If you're going to laugh at my profession, just do it to my face. I know what people think about romance novelists. I've heard it before. I can take it. Is it a profession if you're not making money? I stood up. You know what? I think I'm going home. I'm joking, Luce. What happened to your sense of humor? I lost it in Los Angeles, I said. Left it behind along with all my hopes and dreams. Henry sat down, his eyes squinting at me. Please, I'm sorry. Give me another chance. I'm nervous. I plunked myself down on the seat because the juices in my mouth were already going at full force. I could smell the melting mozzarella and heavenly red sauce, and if I didn't get a bite of that goodness, my mouth might just devour itself. We sat in another moment of awkward silence. Henry glanced around as if he'd never seen Bertha's place before. It had that musty, slightly run-down smell of all great used bookstores. Behind us stretched rows and rows of teetering shelves with dog-eared paperbacks and piles of just-browsed books waiting on armchairs to be reshelved. In the middle of the store was a small stage, stuffed to the gills with peeling couches and wobbly armchairs. The podium where I'd fainted sat on a raised step before the audience of thrift store furniture, backed by more books. Toward the front of the store was where Henry and I were now sitting. In the morning, this space was a cute little cafe, filled by uncomfortable metal chairs with mismatched pillows on the seats, and coffee cups as big as my face. Bertha served fresh bagels and doughnuts and pastries from the place next door. At night, she made the pizza and drinks. Drinks here were strong, cheap, and familiar. I'll take a wine, I said on second thought. My usual. Bertha nodded, grabbed one of those huge coffee mugs the size of my face, and filled it generously with a house Cabernet. It would cost me $2.
Wow.
Henry raised his eyebrows, impressed. I raised the mug to my lip, took a sip. Don't judge me, it was a rough day.
No judgment, but I hope you're not planning to drive home.
Nope, I came with my mother, I said. And yes, I realize every word out of my mouth makes me sound more pathetic. The pizza arrived and was placed in front of us. Suddenly I didn't feel pathetic at all. If there was one thing I was good at, it was eating. I excelled at it. Without waiting for Henry, I grabbed a plate from behind the counter and helped myself. Bertha slid the Parmesan cheese shaker down toward me, and I took off the lid and dumped most of it onto the greasy slice. She had another shaker ready to go and slid that down too.
That's a lot of cheese,
Henry said, studying the small mound of white on my pizza.
Would you like some pizza with that parm?
I just raised my eyebrows. No time to talk. Food was on my plate. We'd learned that lesson early on in the little house. Those who talked while eating got less food. At the dinner table, eating was a race, and silence was king. Henry finally roused the courage to speak after I'd polished off my second slice.
So,
he mused.
You never did answer my question.
Do I make money?
No, not that one.
He gave a shake of his head.
I was being an idiot. Forget I said that. What brought you back?
I hemmed and hawed, debating making up some great tale that would explain my very unglorious return from Hollywood to the Midwest, but I struck out. That magazine where you saw my face? Henry nodded. Well, I was dating a guy.
Claude York,
he said, and then added,
Stupid name.
I shrugged. Stupid guy. We got engaged. You know, big shot screenwriter and the struggling author.
Obviously, that didn't work out.
Not exactly. I had one unpublished novel at the time that I thought was really good, I said. I mean, really good. It's just this feeling, you know? Claude asked to see it, and if he liked it, he was going to send it to his agent. I was excited, you know?
Naturally.
Well, he took it, sent it to his agent, with his name on it, and got a $2 million advance. Have you heard of The Family Secret?
I read it,
he said.
It was really good. It's in every airport bookstore in the country.
Yeah. That was mine, I said. Any resemblance to the Little family in there? He considered.
It's just like you guys. Missy and Louise and, of course, Pamela. That really was your work?
I nodded.
Color me impressed.
Henry sounded genuine.
I'm not much of a reader and I liked it.
I shrugged. I'm not that good, otherwise I wouldn't be a struggling artist.
Why didn't you go after him? I'm sure you have proof,
Henry said.
Files time-stamped on your computer or whatnot. All that is considered copyright.
Yeah, I know. But I mostly just wanted out of there. It wasn't even about the money. I hesitated. It was about the money, a little. I could have used it. But he was supposed to love me, keep me safe, make me a better person and all that romantic crap. Then he turned around and stole my work. The cherry on top was when he dumped me for the actress that's starring in the film adaptation. Ouch. I dumped more Parmesan onto my pizza. I mean, I'm over it. Almost. I'm a little sore that I had to move home to gather myself while he's waltzing around on press tours with a fictional version of me on his arm, but whatever.
I still think you could fight for it.
I tried, I said. I talked to a lawyer and everything. But the second I mentioned the name Claude York, the lawyer dropped me. He's got so many high-powered connections, no one wants to battle with him. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't afford it. Henry looked like he wanted to say more, but I continued faster. I appreciate the thought and support, truly. I shrugged. It's not fair, and I'm still hung up on it, admittedly, but theoretically, if I'm that good of a writer, shouldn't I be able to come up with another bestseller? If I can't, then maybe it was all luck and I didn't deserve to be in the spotlight anyway.
But it's your work that got you in the spotlight. It's not like, I don't know, a test you can just retake or something to become a cop. It takes luck and talent, sure, and timing. What if the timing isn't right on the next one?
You think I haven't thought of that? I sighed. No offense, but I don't really want to talk about it anymore. I got back a few months ago. My parents are letting me stay in their, extra residence for now. I figured I'd take the rest of the year to write a couple novels and see if I could sell them. If I can't, then I'll go with Plan B.
What's Plan B?
Homelessness. Henry snorted a laugh.
You're a good writer, Lucy. You don't need a Plan B.
I gave him a grudging smile. That's sweet of you, but I don't know. You haven't read this one yet. Henry glanced down at the cover and winced.
You know what's your problem?
Now I have a problem?
You've just been burned. I mean, you lost a relationship and a career all at once. That's a lot to go through.
Thanks for pointing that out, Sherlock.
You need some murder in your life.
Excuse me?
Write some mysteries. Kill off some people. How can you write about romance when you don't believe in it anymore?
I believe in it, I said. But my tone said I felt as strongly about romance as I did about dead fish. You know, for other people in fictional novels.
Exactly,
he said.
Just think about it. I'd even let you ride along with me on a few calls. You've got an expert to help you with the logistics for crime fiction. Could be therapeutic.
I debated the pros and cons of killing people with my pen. I'll consider it, I said finally. Thanks, Henry. We sat in silence while I slurped the rest of my wine and Henry polished off the pizza. Are you dating anyone? I blurted out. You know, just out of curiosity.
I'm not,
Henry said, and his eyes flicked toward me.
Interested?
I'm interested in murder, I said. Try again. He laughed, wiped his own hands off on a napkin.
Let me drive you home.
I can walk.
I know you can walk, but I'd prefer to drive you, he said. I'm on duty anyway. Nothing's happening tonight, so it's the least I can do. Escorting a citizen home in dangerous times.
We paid the check. Actually, Henry paid the check, while I hummed awkwardly and stared at the ceiling. You didn't have to do that, I said. This wasn't a date.
Don't worry, your $2 vat of wine won't break the bank.
We climbed into the car and headed in the direction of my parents' home. The route was so familiar that Henry didn't need directions, and I was left to sit in the quiet car and think. Maybe Henry had a point. Maybe I was trying too hard to write in a genre that just wasn't working for me. If I didn't believe in the romance on the page, how could I expect readers around the world to invest themselves in my stories? I could definitely get invested in murder, especially if the victim looked like my ex-fiancé and had a name like Yod Cork, and obviously wasn't based on my ex. It had a certain ring to it. My thoughts were interrupted when Henry's radio garbled to life and someone on the other end of the line barked orders. I couldn't make out most of it, but I saw Henry's face straighten and his tanned skin go a bit pale in the moonlight.
Well, I'll be damned,
he muttered to himself. I hesitated. Everything okay?
How do you feel?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?